Hello, my crafty friends. How are you today? Thank you for joining me. Today I'm going to show you how to make this card. I've seen it called a fractured card. I've also seen it called an aperture card or a shutter card. Although I think a true shutter card kind of opens and closes and like an aperture, I don't know. So maybe fractured card is what we'll call it. But I think it's really cute. It's actually a very easy technique to use. The stamp set that I'm using is the Bird's Eye View, although I'm using Sentiment from the Zany Zoo on the outside, and then on the inside, this is actually from Crafting for You, which I thought is really cute, sending you a handmade hug. So I'm going to show you some coloring tips, even some blending with maybe some colors that you don't have, some ways to use some to get some colors if you don't actually have the blends. So let's go ahead and get started. My name is Linda Edwards. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator with Crafty Hair and Designs. And I am actually demonstrating this card for some of the gals that purchased my card kit at home, the tutorial for a card kit that I did in my, I did classes for. So if you are joining me for that reason, thank you for purchasing the kit. You will have received this little envelope with everything you need to make the kit. But for the rest of you, I'm also going to show you how to actually cut out these pieces. I'll give you all the measurements for it. So I am also using the Stylish Shapes dies to cut out the pieces. So let's go ahead and get started. Our card base, it's your standard card base, and it is 8.5 by 5.5, and it is scored at 4 1/4. So this is actually a pretty straightforward card. Then you're gonna have 2 pieces of basic white, one of which really doesn't matter what color it is, but one's gonna be on the inside and one the outside, and they are 4 by 5 1/4. So as you can see, they fit nice and neatly on that card base. So I'm going to keep this one out and set aside the others. And then you are going to need a square that this is 2 1/4 by 2 1/4, and it is the same color as the card base. And then I have these strips of cardstock. Card base is all Misty Moonlight. These 4 strips of cardstock, they're 1/4 inch thick, and they're about, 4.5, 5 inches. They'll fit. So you just need scrap. And you'll see in your card kit that you'll have a smaller piece that's got a little clip on it. That's going to be the piece you'll use for your cutting, your die cutting, and your coloring. So we'll set that aside. And then you will have some pieces of what look like scrap. These actually started out as pieces of 6x6 designer series paper. They are part of the 2023-2025 in color collection. Excuse me. These are the pieces, and you can see they've got different colors, different designs on each side. So the ones I'm using for this design are wild wasabi, wild wheat. Excuse me, I got something in my throat. And let me grab the water here. Misty Mauve, Misty Mauve? Now I can't remember. This particular piece, however, is actually from the Earth and Elegance. And I chose it because it's got lots of different colors in it. It's so you could really coordinate it with a lot of the different in colors. And I wanted to use these particular colors. So that's how I came up with this collection. You wouldn't necessarily, well, I wouldn't have thought to put these all together. But because they're in this piece of designer series paper, I thought it really worked, and it was kind of fun. I love to do that in decorating as well as in card making. Kind of find something that's got multiple colors, and then go ahead and pull in some other pieces to go with it. So in order to maximize the 6x6 paper, do the minimum cutting, I'll show you what I did. So this is another piece. This is I started out 6 by 6 and I cut it on the diagonal. So you can see, if you cut it corner to corner, you come up with this piece. And then if you cut this piece in half, this is so hard for me. Once it's done, you cut it in half. No, I know it works because I did it. Oh, good grief. Well, this way. Oh my gosh, here we go. Are you shouting at me across the screen? I cut it in half. So this piece is cut this way. I don't know why I made it harder than it is. So you end up with these little pieces. I'll bring the card back in, and then they're gonna fit nice and neatly in there. So you can pretty well maximize your use of the paper if you start with a 6 by 6. Now, of course, the Earth and Elegance isn't actually a 6 by 6. So I didn't cut it to 6 by 6 and then cut it down. I just went ahead and cut a piece. And this is about, let's see, 4 by 3. So that works as well, 4 by 3. Now, if it's unidirectional, you have to be a little bit careful about it, but you can work that out for yourself. So I think I'll go ahead and show you the fractured part first. Let's get started with that, and then we'll do the stamping and the coloring and all of that. So if you are really here just to watch how to make this fractured card, then this will be the easiest way to get started, or the quickest way to get started. I hope you stay with me till the end, but regardless. So the first thing you're gonna do, and I've seen this card made with many different ways. I've seen it done where you use the die to cut in the center, and then it's got a little more depth, and you could certainly do that. This is what, to me, is the easiest way to do it. So you're gonna start with you've got your white, which is just gonna be your base for this card. And I'm gonna take this piece of Misty Moonlight, again, 2 1/4 by 2 1/4, and I'm not worried about being too precise. I just eyeballing it, and I'm putting it in a diamond shape, right in the middle of that card. And I'm gonna go ahead and bring in, because there's a lot of glue, I'm gonna go ahead and bring in my silicone mat so that I don't get glue all over my work surface. So the first thing I'm gonna do is now I'm gonna bring in this piece of, one of the pieces of cardstock, and I'm gonna put this, it's gonna go right over that, and I'm gonna kind of run a line. You have to kind of eyeball it a little bit, but I'm gonna run a line of glue, a thin line of glue, and I'm just following that edge of that first paper, and I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna glue that down. And I'm gonna go all the way around and do the same thing. So a thin bead, and you do have to be kind of careful. You want a really thin bead of glue so that it doesn't ooze out everywhere on you. And I'm just lining it up to the end of the original square piece of paper. And again, run it kind of all the way, continue it all the way. Oops. I do want to make sure that this end is snipped well. Did you see that one's kind of more torn, so that's why I turned it around. So make sure that at least one end of your strip is a 90-degree angle, is nice and square. And then that just follows around. And then this last piece will go over. It'll be a little bit thicker, but you can't really tell on the card because you won't really see it. Go. That piece just goes right there. I've seen this card made lots of different, you could just do one piece of designer series paper, that's this 5 1/4 by 4, and put the aperture on it and call it a day, and then just decorate the center, right? It doesn't have to be all different kinds of designer series paper. It could all be one, but I'd like to do the different. So now I'm gonna come in and I'm just gonna, this is gonna just tuck into the corner. So I'm gonna put, again, some liquid glue. I do wanna make sure that it does go to the edges. There we go. It's always a little harder to do it on camera. And you see how I kind of pushed it in there to make sure that it was square all the way around the edges. And I probably should kind of lay it out first, but of course, since I've already done this once, it's pretty easy to do. Second time, let's see, that one will go there, that one will go there, or are my hearts? I guess they go both directions, so it doesn't really matter. It's not multi-directional, so let's go ahead and then put this here. So you see, it's really pretty straightforward. It's a lot more complicated than it looks, and if you've seen any of my videos, you'll know that those are my favorite kind of cards. Things that look complicated, but really are not. I like to get a lot of wow, a big bang for my buck, as they say. There we go. And now this one. There we go. So this is one of 4 cards that we are doing in my card class. And if you're in the Greensboro, Georgia area, and you'd love to have you join me. But they are generally available by with the tutorial or as a card kit if you're not close by and you want to join in on the fun. And look at the back. What a mess, right? So I'm going to bring in I like to use long scissors for this. You could trim it on a trimmer, but sometimes it's a little gluey and I don't like to get my trimmer all gummed up. These are just Scotch titanium. I like them because they're long, but they're also like a Teflon material, so they don't stick. I don't have to worry about the adhesive getting on them. And I'm just following along and cutting that all off. You can see it's a little bit thicker where they overlap, or where the cardstock overlaps with the Designer Series paper. But I can kind of feel where the scissors meet the cardstock. And so it's really very straightforward to cut that off. There we go. That's it. And now you basically just decorate it any way you want. There you go. And you can do it this way or this way. Anyway, then it just basically attaches to the card front like that. I'm going to set that aside and let's go ahead and do our stamping. So as in the original, I'm going to do I want this, here, I'll show you, I'll bring it back again. I've got my little bird and I'm going to cut him out afterwards, but I want to make sure that he's the right direction. So I want to make sure I have enough room. And then this is going to be the happy birthday to you. So I'll go ahead and I'll start with the black Memento ink and my little bird. This guy's so cute. Now, because we're using the blends, that's why I want to use the Memento. And I just kind of have that there as a guide for myself so that I know where I want that bird or how much room I have, that's all. Okay, and then I'm gonna give him some little glasses like Mr. Magoo. Do you remember Mr. Magoo? I'm aging myself, but I'll bet you remember Mr. Magoo. Some of you are close to my age as well. Here we go. And then I also used, I'm gonna set him aside. I also did the little bird and a little bird on the envelope. So this is the envelope. I'm gonna just, since I made this a birthday card, I'm also gonna use a balloon. This is the inside of the card. So I'm doing all of my Memento at once. Here's my little balloon. And the thing I love about the photopolymer is I can see where the tail of the balloon is. So I'm kind of making it look like he's holding it in his wing. There we go. I don't know what I got on there, but fortunately, since it's an envelope, it will it's gonna go through the mail, so I'm not too worried about that. And then, oh no, the happy birthday to you, I don't wanna use black. Let me think. I wanna use, for my sentiments, I want to go ahead and use the Misty Moonlight, which is the color of the cardstock. So this Happy Birthday to You is, as I said, this is from the Zany Zoo set. I thought it was really cute. I'm going to put that in the corner, and we're going to cut that with the die. And then, whoops, this other sentiment is sending you a handmade hug. Now this could certainly, it could be black. It could be memento as well. It would be fine. Whichever you prefer. So I kind of line that up because I do want this to be straight. This is from the Crafting With You set. I'll bring that in and show you. There's some really cute sentiments. Life is better when you're crafting. You inspire me, sending you a handmade hug. I just really like that set. I've made a few things with that, and I haven't shared any videos yet, but I will do that. That's on my to-do list for you. Okay, so that's that. Now we're gonna do some coloring. So I need to bring in a little scrap paper so that when I color, I don't get the coloring, the ink on my pad here, because it does go through the back of the paper. So a couple of things. I wanted my ink colors, my blending to coordinate with what I've got going on here, right? But I didn't have all the same blends. And the Misty Moonlight to me was gonna be a little too dark. So I decided to go with Balmy Blue. I played around with a couple of different colors. I thought the Balmy Blue would work, and then this is the Wild Wheat, but I don't have Wild Wheat either. So I played around, did some blending, and I will show you what I came up with. Now, Wild Wheat is available, as is the, and any of these, the in colors are available, but I just didn't have them all. And I thought, well, a lot of you don't have them either. So let's see what I can come up with, and you let me know what you think. So I'm starting with the Balmy Blue, and I'm just really going, I'm gonna do his body and his wings. And I'm starting with the light color. And I'm gonna go behind and I'm just using the brush end. And when you use these, be very, very delicate with them. And what I mean is, it's a brush. It's not a marker end. You need to treat this like a paintbrush, because otherwise you'll smush the end of the tip and it gets all splayed out, and then it doesn't really work. So now I'm gonna take the dark Balmy Blue, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go kind of underneath where the black lines are, these like little, I don't know, like his little belly feathers. I'm just going underneath there with the dark, and then kind of along the bottom and along the wings. So a little dark, so a little shadow, a little shading in there. And then I'm also going to do a little bit kind of on the outside and the bottom of the wing. So that's kind of the basics. And then, I don't know, can you see, you can see where, you know, you can tell that there are kind of two different lines there. There's a pretty demarcation. And this is where the beauty of the blends comes in. I'm gonna take the light blend again, and I'm gonna come back, and I'm not gonna go under the eye, because I want that to look like really light, a lot lighter. And I'm gonna just blend under the eyeglasses, that is. So I'm gonna just take the light color, and I'm gonna go ahead and go under and kind of color over the dark and the light. So blending them together so that they, because it's an alcohol-based marker, you lose that demarcation. It blends, they blend together, so it gets a nice even shading that adds some depth, but it doesn't, it blends. So it's smooth. There you go. That's the word I'm looking for. Okay, so that's the body. The beak is gonna be really straightforward. I'm just doing an orange. This is pumpkin pie. I did the dark pumpkin pie. So I'm just gonna do a little bit, no blending, it's too small. So that's easy. And now for the yellow. So this is where I played around a little bit, and I'm gonna use Daffodil Delight. I'm gonna use the light, the dark, and then I'm gonna come in with the old olive, the light old olive, and finish it off. So I'm gonna start off with the light, again, going lightest to darkest. And I've done different things. I used to start off with the darkest, but I don't know, I think it's easier for people to start with the light. So that's what I'm gonna show you. And if you don't really have experience thinking about shading and where shading would be, then I think this is an easier way to blend. All right, so I just did the light Daffodil Delight all around his face. And then I'm gonna leave the eyes the way they are. I'm not gonna do any more coloring around the eyes. Now I'm gonna come in and do the shading with the thin end, the thin tip, and I'm gonna just do some shading. So there, a little bit under the eyes, a little bit between. Okay, and then I'm gonna come back in with the old olive, the light old olive, and I am gonna use the thin tip only because there's not a lot of room to work here. And I'm gonna go over the same spot. I'm gonna go over everything with the light old olive, the light and the dark. So I left some of the spots, just the light, Daffodil Delight. Some of them I went over with the dark, and now I'm going over with the light old olive. And I feel like it's really close to the wild wheat. I'm gonna go over the whole thing, which I just thought was really happy with that. So I hope that you are too. Can you see, doesn't it look like it's like the same color? You'd never know I didn't have the actual wild wheat. So anyway, I thought that was kind of cute. So now we're gonna do the inside, and I think I'm gonna do the opposite of this one. I'm gonna make the body blue, and the wing is gonna be the green. So I don't know if you're a bird watcher, but birds do come in all kind of fun different colors. I am a bird watcher, so I don't know what bird this would be. This is not in imitation of an actual bird that I'm aware of, but there may be something somewhere in this world that this bird may exist. So I'm gonna just kind of do the belly a little bit darker here and a little bit around the bottom and around the wing. And then again, that was the dark, and I'm gonna come back in with the light and blend those out. And I'm gonna leave a little bit of lighter color kind of in his belly. I'm not gonna go all the way. And then I'm gonna come in, same thing. I did the light Daffodil Delight, and I'm actually gonna do the same thing for the balloon. So I've got it out, a little bit of yellow there, a little bit of darker. And this time I'm gonna go ahead, I am gonna do a little darker there. And same idea, just a little bit of the darker old olive, and then, or of the darker Daffodil Delight. And then I'm gonna come with the old olive on the wing and blend it. Blend the two together. But then I'm gonna use the light Daffodil Delight up here on the balloon. I'm not gonna put any green in there. I'm gonna keep that all yellow. And you can see that I kind of left the lightest spot in the center. And if for some reason you don't do that and you wanna come back in, you can come back in with the color lifter, and you can kind of lighten up the middle, or lighten that up a little bit too. And if you go out of the lines, you can actually come in with the color lifter. I went a little bit out there. You can kind of come in with this color lifter, and it'll take away some of that color as well. Once it dries, you won't see that at all. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring in the die cutting machine so that I can die cut these shapes, and then we'll put it together. So I can see I know you can see where this is going. Oh, sorry about that. Banged up the camera, move the camera. This one's gonna go like this, and I'm just gonna put him on the diagonal. And this guy, doesn't matter if he hangs over because I'm gonna cut him anyway. I really only want the flagged end on that side. So, let's see if I can do this. Keep it all straight. There we go. So, move that out of the way. And move that out of the way. And again, those were the Stylish Shapes dies. All right, let's bring everything here and put it together. So I will start with the inside. You can see what I was talking about. This color kind of comes through the, so I like to protect my work surface and make sure that I don't get ink all over everything. So we have a new catalog coming out in the fall, or actually, yeah, September 6th. Demonstrators have been able to purchase from the new catalog already, but I'm gonna start putting together some things for, I think I want this way, for fall and winter. It's still August, but oh my goodness, fall and winter will be here before you know it. So if you'd like to get a sneak peek at the new catalog, if you do not currently have a demonstrator that you are working with, I would love to work with you. So send me a message or an email, linda@craftyherondesigns.com, and visit my website. There will be links in my Facebook page or on my Facebook or YouTube, wherever you're seeing this. You can find me on all the socials at Crafty Heron Designs. You can sign up for my newsletter so that you know when I'm having local classes or for the classes to go. Let's see. All right, one more thing we have to cut here. So as you can see, where are my scissors? I'm gonna slide that out a little bit more than I want it because I want the edge to be right along with the Designer Series paper, so I'll slide it out a little bit more. So I'm cutting it with that edge, but I'm gonna put it on there. So yeah, if you want to know about the latest things going on, the latest specials that Stampin' Up or I have to offer, just go ahead and sign up for my newsletter, and I'll keep you informed. There we go. We're going to use some bling on here. There we go. So these are this is the adhesive back solid gems. They're in Lemon Lolly, Copper Clay, and Boho Blue. So I am going to use the blue. It's not exactly, nah, maybe I'll use the yellow. I think I'll use the yellow. The blue is not quite, it's a little more purple. Oh, So, there we go. Well, I hope you enjoyed my little card for today. If you give me a thumbs up or a like, if you comment, it helps others to find me, so I would appreciate that if you like what you see. And I hope you join me for a future card. Oh, and I wanted to show you, here's another sample of different colors. This is the Copper Clay and Pretty Peacock. So a couple of different samples for you. Let me know if you have a preference, one over the other. Thanks for joining me today. Bye for now.